Hello, friends. Welcome back. My name is Carly. This is Owning Authenticity, and I am so excited to get to talk about a few stories, just tell a couple stories from the activation sessions that I've done these last few months. And I got asked the other day, why did I start doing these activation sessions to begin with? And then I'm going to tell you that story. Then I'm going to talk about what the activation sessions actually are and tell some stories of like some common themes. You better believe we are all just another one of the same archetypes, the same patterns expressing themselves. So if I can help you to see some of those patterns more clearly just based on the one-on-one conversations that I've had with some of you around the channel, how freaking cool is that, right? Like mass activate, like that's really exciting. And I have a couple other things to share at the end. So first off, why did I start doing these activation sessions? And the truth is because someone gave me 30 minutes of their very valuable time, and it changed my life. It literally changed my life. And so this came about in October. I had been working through some things personally to do with my business, the first business I had ever started, and I wanted out. I wanted out of that business. I was ready for that, and I didn't know how, right? Like it's a corporation. I own shares of the corporation. The corporation has debt. Like I have no idea like what my legal responsibility is. And so I came to this very powerful conclusion one night in late October that I need a lawyer. I need a lawyer to tell me like what do I do? What's my next step? Like where do I even begin to untangle this thing that feels so stuck? I felt so stuck, and the download of I need a lawyer actually came. This is really an important part of the story. It came through a maxed out feeling of stuckness. Like it had reached a fever pitch of I feel so confined, and that feeling felt terrible, absolutely terrible. And what dropped in was I need a lawyer, right? And it was so interesting at that point because there was even a back and forth of like, do you need a lawyer? Like, is that really, like, it was so interesting how our soul can tell us what's right, and then our ego and our thinking mind wants to be the one that like figures it out or whatever, like glory to the ego kind of thing. And so through that peak feeling of stuckness, I download the message, I need a lawyer. That's a Wednesday night. The next morning, Thursday morning, I have a Zoom call that is scheduled for 10 a.m. And it's about like 9 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, oh, I have an hour before my Zoom call. Let me Google lawyers and just see what I find. Like call a couple places and see where that gets me. No idea where that's going to get me, but calling them, that's free. Googling them, that's free. In the back of my mind too was the thought, I can't afford a lawyer, okay? But I need one, but I can't afford it, but I need one, but I can't afford it, but I need one. And so I had the idea of like calling them is free, Googling them is free. Let's just see how much it is. Let's see, let's just see. So I Google lawyers, not in the town that I live in, because I had a whole thing in my mind of feeling like it's not safe to talk about this in the town where I'm actually like trying to get out of the business that I have. And so I Google lawyers in the town over. And I found like the top one, basically like the top Google result. Call them on the phone. And very sweet woman answers, and she's like, how can I help you today? And I'm like, well, I need some legal advice. And so I'm hoping there's somebody there I can talk to. And she's like, okay, what's your situation? What do you need? And so I explained to her like what was going on and my situation and what I wanted the situation to transform into. And she was very sweet. She said, we don't practice law like that. Like, that's just not something that we typically handle. But if that's what you need, this is the place you need to call. And I'm like, okay. And what's the name of it again? Can you spell that first word? Great. Thank you so much. Google the name that she gave me of like, here, you need to call this. Google them, find the phone number, place the call. So like all of this has happened in less than 3 minutes, okay, from the first call to the second call. So it's maybe not even 10 after 9 at this point. And I call the second place, and this time a guy answers, and same thing, like, what's going on? What do you need? And so I explained just a little bit of my situation and that this place, said that you guys handle stuff like this, but, is there somebody there I could talk to? And he's like, well, yeah, so what is it? You're doing this. And so he starts asking questions, like trying to clarify, like, what is the situation that I'm going through and what I want to get out of it. And through the course of him asking me the questions, I'm giving him more of my story, little bits of my story. And then he's like, oh, okay. So then, have you looked at your company's bylaws? And I'm like, I don't even know if we have bylaws. And he's like, well, in order to form a corporation, you have to have bylaws. Now, whether they're standard bylaws, like you downloaded a template and that's what you filed, or if you wrote specific bylaws, like I don't know that, but I do know for sure that you have bylaws. And in the bylaws, it will tell you if you're allowed to sell your stock or if it's some other kind of stock. I don't even remember what he said. He's like, that's what'll tell you if you're allowed to do this or not. And typically, if you're using a template, like if you don't remember authoring unique bylaws, if you don't remember signing something like that, then chances are you're using standard bylaws. And in that case, you're owning something that's called freely held stock, which means at any point you can sell it. You can transfer your stock and then you're not the owner anymore. And so that was like during the course of the conversation. And towards the end, we spent about, I think it was like right at 28 minutes on the phone. So like not even half an hour. And at the end, he's like, you know what, Carly, you know what I would do if I was in your shoes? And I was like, that actually, yes, I would love to know like what you would do if you were in my shoes. And he's like, I would just give it away. I mean, it sounds like from the situation that you're in, like that would be an improvement, and, give it away in exchange for this. And when he said that, like this mountain of stress and pressure and stuckness, the bindings of my stuckness melted like in an instant. I felt like, he had taken the time to ask questions, and he did mostly listening. I mean, I did like 80% of the talking in those 30 minutes, and listen, question. And at the end, he gives me, I'd give it away in exchange for this, right? Like, you're not exactly giving it away. You're also like freeing yourself from something in the process. But he gave me this like one sentence of advice, this like one comment of like, here's how I see it, and he's not making my decision for me. He's not telling me you have to do this, like anything like that. He was just offering like, from my vantage point, here's what I can see. And again, the effect of him offering that was that I felt free, like in an instant. I was free in that moment, right? Like in that moment, I still was on the hook. I still was in the business. I still was the owner. I still was all the same things that I had been 30 minutes ago. And I felt free. And the thing he said at the very end, he's like, wow, I don't usually give free consultations. I can't remember the last time I gave a free consultation, but there you go. And I was like, so I have no idea how much this lawyer charges per hour, no idea, but he gave me a half hour for free. And what he gave me was mostly listening to me, asking me questions, asking me to tell him my story. And when I got off that call, like I said, I felt free. I handed in my resignation letter like a week later. Like I mean, the steps of like actually taking the action and getting out of the business, which I now am, and I ended up selling my shares on the business. I didn't even have to give them away. So like, he set that in motion for me. He opened up the possibility of like, it's this easy. It's just right there. Like that would be, you could just give it away. You could just do this. And I don't even give away my time. I don't even give away free consultations, but there you go. You know, out of the generosity of his heart, he set me free. And when I got at the very end, he was like, I don't give the free consultations, but there you go. And I was like, thank you so much. I mean, I gushed all over him about how much I appreciated it. And I was like, I'm going to mail you something. And I did. I ended up sending him like a little care package to his office of like, you know, put some goodies in there for him and a nice thank you note. And I feel like I did everything I could do where he wasn't charging me. Like I feel like I reciprocated to him as best I could, but the concept was planted. The seed was planted in that moment of when I got off the phone with him, and like the difference that 30 minutes can make. I could hardly even believe how I felt. Like on fire with the fact that like I'm already free. Just even with that idea in my mind, I am now set free. That's all it took, right? Nothing in the physical changed. Like literally nothing, other than now I had a different vantage point. That was all that was different. And I felt free. And I proceeded to officially set myself free in the physical, selling out of that business and moving on to the next thing. But that idea of what if I gave a person 30 minutes of my time and changed their life? What if, you know, like it was absolutely done in that moment that I want to do this. I want to be this for someone. I want to, you know, because like think about who he was and the position that he was sitting in as far as like, did he have to study for that phone call? Kind of, but he did that a long time ago. Did he have to prepare? Kind of, but he did that a long time ago. Like he picked up the phone and changed my freaking life. Like the effortlessness of it, the effortlessness of all you got to do is answer the phone. All you got to do is give your time, 30 minutes, and you can change somebody's life. Like it was proof to me. It was proof of concept that like, that's real. That's so real. And so it was 2 days after I talked to Clayton that was the lawyer. It was 2 days after that I built the activation session application and I put it out on my YouTube channel and just kind of like, you know, I'm going to pick a few and anybody who wants to apply can, and I'm going to make my selections on this day. And that first round, I got several. I mean, I had way more applications than what I would have been able to pick. And at the time, I was still ending my role in that business and kind of in that transition phase where I didn't have a ton of time for it anyway. But I did end up picking 4. I was only going to pick 2, but the applications were so compelling. I was like, I have way too many favorites to only do 2. So I ended up doing 4 activation sessions. Well, I offered 4 activation sessions that round, and I ended up doing 3 of them and then kept it open. And I did that again, where I made 4 more selections the following month or 2 months later, or whatever it was. And at this point, I'm into the practice of when I see an application come through that just like is beautiful. We're going to get into more what that might sound, what that might look like, but like they seem to like light up. They are just like blaring, like there's almost bells ringing in my ears when I look at some of these applications, and I'm like, I have to talk to this person. We have to get on a Zoom. We have to have a conversation, and here's your offer. Here, let me offer you this free 30-minute session. And so the piece that I want to get into though are some of these examples of like what goes on in these sessions, because it is interesting how some of the people wrote into their applications, or even a couple people emailed me of like, what is this session? I need to know what it is, like before I apply, or can you give me more information about what I'm going to get out of this session? And like, I can tell you right now, none of those applications got picked, and for better or worse, like that's just how I did it, because I can't tell you what's going to be in your activation session, because it's an activation of you. It's an activation of your energy. And so every single session has been unique. Every single session has covered different topics. And yet at this point, I've done, I think, about 15 of these in the last, I started doing them in November. So November, I got to count on my fingers. November, December, January, February. So we're almost to 4 months in that I've been doing these activation sessions, and I've done about 15 of them. And there are common threads. And the first thread that is coming to mind is that it is fascinating to me how, I start every single session by asking like, what's going on right now on your leading edge? What is coming to life? What is dying in your world? Like what chapters are ending, closing, you're shedding old layers of yourself and new layers are emerging. What's going on your leading edge? That's how every single session starts. And everybody's session goes off in its own complete direction. But almost all of them, it's fascinating how what they say at the beginning, like for example, the one that is like most notable is the thing that was most alive for her was that she needed money. And that's where she is like she's feeling stuck, and it's because she doesn't have money. And as we sat and I asked questions, right? Like I'm going to listen to your story, and then I'm going to ask you follow-up questions. And then I'm going to listen to more of your story, and then I'm going to ask you some more questions. And then I'm going to listen to more of your story, and then I'm going to ask you some more questions, because I don't have your answer. No, I don't have your answer. That's why this is not a coaching call, right? Like I'm not trying to give you your answers. I'm trying to activate what is already inside of you, right? Like I want to tap into your higher self and fight for you ferociously at moments, if needed, to get through your ego into your soul. Your soul already has every single answer that you need. Your soul already knows exactly what action you're ready to take. Your soul has everything already in there. So my role in these activation sessions is to help get through the noise of like, what is the top layer of what you think you need and what you think you want. And that's the theme, that's the common thread, is that pretty much always it's like that very first answer is very egoic. And like that's what I'm saying is like that's just so normal. It's so normal to like come into the surface layer of like, here's what my ego wants. And then when I ask even like one why question, like why? Why is that the thing? And then you tell more of your story, and we start to chip away and sink deeper into your soul. And as it turned out, this woman, she didn't really need money. She needed to know that her daughter was safe. And money was playing into like how she thought that was going to unfold. It's like, I want my daughter to be safe, so I need to do this. I need to have this. And I'm counting on this to make my daughter safe. And like part of what those activation sessions, like, part of what Clayton did for me in my activation session, that very first one with the lawyer, it's like part of what he did was cut through like it's not even really that I want it out of my company. I want it out from under the debt of the company, right? Like there's a difference there. And finding what is it that you really want, it's often so much easier to get there than our ego believes that it is, right? Our ego makes up all kinds of stories, all kinds of methods of like, here, you have to do this, and then that outcome will be the thing that like is what you want. And so unraveling and like getting the layers out of the way so that we can get to pure desire. Like, what is it that you really want? And then the pathway is so open. The path to get there, I mean, number one, like it's basically already right there, you know? And that is another common thread that I'm seeing with these activation sessions is that they tend to end in the person feeling free, right? They tend to end with the person like having so much melted off of their shoulders. Another common thread is that, you know, we tend to overcomplicate things that we're afraid of. So it's interesting how in these activation sessions, the people that I sit across from, it's like when they tell their story, you know, in the story are all of their beliefs, all their limiting beliefs, all their ideas about what things mean. And it's just typically like a big ball of identity, right? Like of egoic identity. And so unraveling that is really about realizing that none of that is really it. And like what the soul really wants to feel is limitless, free, expansive, right? So that work of setting people free, that is what the activation session is really about. And it is my pleasure, like all caps, pleasure to get to do that work. And all because Clayton did it for me, right? So that was where the urge originally came from, was like, I have got to pay this forward. I have to show others how easy it is to set yourself free with even just 30 minutes of conversation. Like it's already right there. And our stories and our beliefs and all kinds of things that are so natural and normal for humans, like that's our conditioning playing itself out. Like these things, these ideas that we have about how far away it is, how much it's over there, how complicated we make it is often a matter of how scared we are. And so much of setting people free is putting them at ease. So much of setting people free is listening to them and being able to hear, where is it that you're believing that it's separate from you? Where is it that you're pushing it so that it's all the way over there, instead of recognizing that everything that you want is already in there? So by the end of 30 minutes, it's like freaking amazing how people's energy has shifted, how much expansion, like literally opening up a whole entire new reality, how much is possible in only 30 minutes. So this is all to say, right? I told you I have some other things to share. This is all to say that down in the description box, there are multiple links, and I'm going to run through those real quick. So these are the different offerings of like how you can connect in with this energy of recognizing that it's all within you, recognizing that you have the ability to set yourself free, and what needs to change is nothing going on outside of you. It's how we're thinking about it, right? So a little bit of information, mostly a mindset shift, and life can look completely different all in less than an hour. So if you're wanting to tap into that, if you want a taste of it, I have options. I even have some free options that are available, some paid. Again, all of those links are in the description. So number one is you can fill out the activation session application. And let me tell you what, that application is an activator all by itself. And like, what even is an activator? What is an activation session? Like, what does it mean to become activated? I believe it means that you are ready to take action. You know exactly what your next step is, and you have no fear about taking it. And truly, I love this like circular diagram. It's like our beliefs create our actions, and our actions create our results, and our results either change or reinforce our beliefs. And now we're back at the top. Beliefs to actions to results, to beliefs to actions to results, to beliefs to actions to results. So where in that circle, in that circular flow of energy that you can literally just spin in. I saw a quote the other day that said, don't live the same year 75 times and call it a life. Like, that is what so many people are doing. And so this activation session is getting into the beliefs that you are currently holding, the ideas, the stories, the perceptions that you have of yourself and the world and your situation, getting into that, pulling it apart and finding what isn't true, what's not true, what's not real. What is the shadow on the wall that's scaring you that isn't even really a thing, So in the beliefs, if we can shift a belief over even like 1 degree, you will take a different action. And when you take a different action, you'll get a different result. And when you get a different result, it'll reinforce this new belief and give you the courage and the confidence to shift your belief like one little bit more, which will lead to a different action, which will lead to different results, which will reinforce the process that you're doing, which will continue to shift your beliefs in this more expansive direction. So my work in those activation sessions is truly about working with your belief system. Like, that's a little bit of like, what's in my mind as I'm listening to the person telling their story. I'm listening for what are the limiting beliefs that they're using. For example, here's another example where, well, I can't do that yet because I don't have my certification yet. Okay, why do you need your certification? Well, because you have to be licensed to touch people. In this sense, it was like a massage kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, do you have to touch people to have a conversation with them? No. Okay, so could you theoretically have a conversation with them where you're not right here, right now, today, certified, aka ready to begin the work, but you could ask, is this something that you're interested in? Is this something you've heard about? Do you know about this? Do you want to learn more about this? Yes? Okay, here's my story. Here's what I've experienced from it. Or no, thank you so much for your time. Have a great rest of your day. It was so nice to meet you. And so asking these kinds of questions about the limiting beliefs of like, I can't do it because of this. Or another example in that same vein was, what I'm really scared of is that I'm going to get in front of a client and they're going to ask me a question that I don't know the answer to. Why do you need to know the answer to their question? Well, because I need to help them. Why do you need to be the one to help them? Well, because they came to me. Is it your job to have their answers? Do you believe that they have their own answers? That they have their own connection to the infinite field, that they are an extension of God just like you are? Yes, yes, yes. So then why are you trying to give them the answer? Why not ask them a question and prompt them to come up with their own answer? Setting people free. Like, that's all we got to do is like get the limiting belief out of the way, and the soul already knows what to do. The energy, the passion, the excitement, the enthusiasm, it's already there. And then the ego puts up a big wall saying, nope, not until this. You're not certified enough. You're not smart enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not all the things, all the stories that we can tell ourselves, that those beliefs that keep us in this place of nope, not yet. And then we don't take the action, and then we don't get the result, and then we believe, see, it's not time yet. And it's like, well, it could be time. If you want it to be time, if you want to tell a different story, if you want to believe a different belief, then you could take a different action and you could get a different result. And so that free activation session, you can fill out the application. That's the top link. And obviously, with the free session, there's no guarantees that you're going to get that session. I'm looking at the applications and I'm reading what the person put there, and I'm looking for a lot of things. And one of them is depth of readiness, right? Like in those free sessions, I am looking for people that are one idea away from a whole new world. And how do you show me that? You demonstrate your readiness by answering the questions. So again, there are people who put one-word answers on the activation application and they didn't get picked. You know, there are people who are skipping all the questions and then just saying, thank you for your consideration. I didn't even consider you. You know, like, no, you're not ready. You don't want to invest the time into yourself. So why am I going to invest my time into you? You know, that may sound harsh, but like, truly, I don't have your answers. I don't. I have questions. And here are the first ones, right? Here's the first, I don't even know how many questions there are on the activation session. Every time I come up with a new question, I'll put it on there because these are truly the questions. And that's why even just filling out the activation form can move your energy, can invite you to dig even deeper into yourself. And you can come up with new awarenesses just by being willing to truly go inside yourself and answer those questions. The second option is that you can buy an activation session. If you really want one, you can spend your money and I'll show up and give you my time, right? We can make an energy for energy exchange, or you can trade me with your readiness, right? Like if you're one idea away from a whole new reality, I want to show up and I want to pop that bubble for you. I want to be like, hey, look at this door that's already open that like you're just right here. You could just walk through it and like, oh, seriously, I do that because it's fun for me. However, I'm also on planet Earth and I'm in the business of helping people. And if you want to pay me to help you, you sure can. So that link is also in the description box where you can pay for an activation session and book it, and we'll show up and we'll do that work together. The next option is another free option, which is the free 5-day retreat that is coming up in March 16th through the 20th. That is a Saturday through a Wednesday. You don't have to attend all 5 days in order to register for that. You can show up one day. You can show up 3 of the days. It truly does not matter. Any part of that you want to take advantage of, this is the work that we're doing. We're going to dig in to what are the limiting ideas that we have in front of the passion and the energy that's already flowing, right? How do we get the dam out of the way and just let what's natural take its course? So that's another great place that if you're wanting some free activations, if you're looking for community, if you're looking to connect with other people who are on this path, ready, freaking on fire and ready to unleash themselves in their life, that's what the free 5-day retreat is for. So the free 5-day, one thing I will say is that it's not based in astrology. It is completely open, and it's much more about raising your vibration, which you don't even have to know how to do that. That's what I'm going to do in the session is I've built these little pods of energy of like, this is high vibe stuff. This is high vibrational. And so even just being in the space will naturally raise your vibration. And when your vibration is higher, you have a different vantage point. You have a different view on yourself, on your life, on your current situation, on the world, on the people around you in your world. When your vibration raises, everything changes. And so that's what we're doing in the free 5-day. And the free 5-day is part of this. So that's the third link. The fourth link is to check out the new program that I'm offering. So if you're like really ready, if you are wanting to be living a different life by this summer, I am launching a program right after the free 5-day that is set yourself free to be me, right? Like that is, I believe that is truly what the soul is looking for, is a feeling of freedom, right? So we want so many things. We want respect, we want power, we want validation, we want safety, we want all of these things that really, we want that so we can feel free, right? Abundance is another great one. We want to have just endless amounts of money, but like, do we? Do we really want that, or do we want that because we think a feeling of freedom is what is on the other side of having a bunch of money? So freedom is really, again, what we're wanting. And how do we get there? We raise our vibration. And how do we raise our vibration? We get the things out of the way that are keeping it low. And what are those? Those are the ideas, the limiting ideas that we have about ourselves. Like, well, I can't do it because I don't have a certification. I can't do it because I don't have an Instagram. I can't do it because blah, 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 blah. You know, I can't do that because she said I couldn't. Like, so many reasons that we give ourselves to hold ourselves back. And again, it's totally normal. And not even I am immune from this, right? Like, there's a reason that I am doing this work, because I was so stuck. Right? That's going full circle with where we started. I was so stuck. And in one 30-minute conversation, I wasn't anymore. You know, that's my proof of concept. That's how I know that it works. And how does it work? Getting in the range, plugging in to someone who is clear-minded on the subject. And that is what the program offers. So it's a 12-week container. We'll meet every single week, and we'll spend time together in this high vibrational place. And just by exposing yourself to the high vibrational place, just by doing the little bit of exercises that we do inside the session, right? It's not like you have to leave the session after an hour and go do a bunch of homework for it to work. Like, just being in the session is the work, and life will be different. Life will be different. When you can see yourself differently, life is different. That's it. That's all that ever has to change. Nothing outside of us has to change. Something inside of here has to change. We have to get out of our own way. The path is open. The door is open. And yet we sit here a lot of times sabotaging ourselves with all of these stories about how it's not there and how awful it is and how stuck I am. And you're sitting right next to an open door the whole time. That's what being stuck in the ego is missing what's right in front of you. And so that is truly the power of raising your vibration and being able to see, like, oh my God, it's already right there. Like, wow, I didn't even think of that, you know? Like, I could do that today. And so today, you take an action, right? Like, I could do that today. Take the action, get the result, have a different belief about yourself, right? A different belief around what are you capable of? Who are you? And all of that is possible. So if that is something that you're ready, you're fully charged, and you are ready to go on that journey with me, you want to link arms with me and take that 12-week journey, I am so excited. I'm so excited. And one other thing I'll say is that, you know, you check out the program and you're like, not for me, still come to the 5-day. The 5-day is designed to be its own experience. So like, even if you're not interested in doing the full 12-week journey, you will still get a lot out of just plugging in for those 5 days, or any of the 5 days that you can make, right? I've had people register for 1 day. Some people just signed up for the weekend. Some people just signed up for the weekdays. Some are there for all 5. And there are people from all over the world. I don't know off the top of my head how many countries, but I think I'm up to like 6 or 7 countries represented of people who are going to be at that Zoom. So those Zooms, the 5-day. So if you're interested in community, activation, freedom, expansion, setting yourself off into a brand new trajectory, literally jumping timelines and beginning to live a completely different life, you can't afford to miss the free 5-day. All it costs is your time. That's the price for admission, is that you got to come and sit there. That's it. That's all the preparation. Did you wake up? Great. You can be at the 5-day. That's the only cost. And again, if you're ready for more than that, that's where the program container is there to really take it and have the support to make it a sustainable shift, right? Like if we raise your vibration for 5 days in a row, you have a really good shot of living now at that higher vibrational place. However, only 5 days is not really long enough to create a habit. If you already have some really strong habits and this can be an immersion that, strengthens what you're already doing and takes it to the next level, great. That's why it's free, because I want as many people as possible to take advantage of that. But if you're in a newer place with all of this and you feel a significant shift from those 5 days, sustaining that could be tricky because our vibration only raises at a certain pace, and it's the pace of what our nervous system can handle. We manifest at the speed of safety. So getting into our body, getting our nervous system up to speed with those higher vibrations, that is really what the container is for, the 12 weeks of come with me, come with me and let's take this journey and let's put you on a new timeline, let's raise your vibration to the point where you are capable of putting yourself on a new timeline. It's just right there. It all already exists and it's just right there. And if I can help even 1 or 2 more people see it, that is truly the work that I am here to do. I am here to help unlock possibilities that were already right there. And all that's needed is for you to believe that you can reach out and grab a hold of it. So if that sounds interesting to you, I highly recommend you check out those links that are in the description box. I would love to see you in any of those spaces. Until next time, I do hope that you are taking really good care of your beautiful self, that you are not depriving yourself and holding yourself back from things that your soul is ready for, because that kind of dissonance, it creates all kinds of problems in our world. And I hope to see you soon. Okay, bye.